I'm going to go a little against the grain, but you'll see why. So just bear with me for a second. So the Cubs do trade, in my opinion, Nick Madrigal. Nick Madrigal's gone. Where's he going? I think he's going to the Rockies. Why? Because Brendan Rodgers is hurt. They need a second baseman. That's a ballpark where he's going to thrive because of how big it is, and any contact is good contact in Colorado. I think a player like Nick Madrigal could be successful for the Rockies. He's not going to cost them a lot because, let's be honest, the Cubs aren't going to be able to ask for a lot either. So I think – oh, God, it'd be nice. It'd be nice, but – I think realistically, though, in the event, I could see a Nick Madrigal to Colorado trade. I know that was brought up a lot on Twitter. I know our Dingers friends over at the Dingers podcast brought up a similar point as well. Complete agreement. I think that makes a lot of sense. Flipping it over, right? I think Patrick Wisdom's going to figure it out. And I think Jeremiah does have a bit of a point here. Wisdom's power is really good. It's really hard to DFA that. He does have at least third and first for sure. Yeah, he plays a little bit of the corner outfield, the spots, what have you. But that's something to keep in mind here. I think he's going to ultimately make the roster. Maybe not start necessarily on opening day, but he's going to make the roster. Edwin Rios is my long-term pick, but boys, I asked who's starting opening day, not who's starting for the whole season. Yeah. I think Edwin Rios is your DH on opening day. I think he's going to bring that power to the DH spot. I think Mr. Mancini is going to be out in right field, despite what Jeremiah says here. We did get good news on Seiya. He is starting to kind of work his way back, but I don't want them to rush him. I do not want to see him on opening day because the last thing you need is the Yoan Moncada situation. And if that happens, I'm going to have a bigger cow than Seiya Suzuki's muscle mass that he put on this offseason. So leave him on the bench. Let Trey Mancini play their opening day. Rios is your DH. And I think if Wisdom gets it together, I think he's your starting third baseman because we've seen the glove has shown he can handle third base well. But my little bit of a spicy take, David Bodie makes this team. And as Joey says here in our comments, hey, buddy, we miss you. Sup, boys, Bodie is technically not on the 40-man now. That is true. He'd be safe unless they made the move to put him on and tried removing him again. Agreed. I think he does make the opening day roster, and I think he is your starting third baseman on opening day. I don't think he's a long-term solution, but I don't think he's a guy because of that versatility. He does play 3 infield spots. That gives him a little more flexibility to play Mancini in that right field spot while Seiya gets healthy. And then maybe when Seiya comes back, he's that hard cut you have to make off the 40-man to make room for Seiya and activate him. So that is my kind of hot take. I do think Christopher Morel, based on all reports as well, I think he does start in AAA. Again, Juice, you noted it, the age and the amount of options does not play in his favor in this case. But you know what? Him playing maybe every day at third base could really benefit him early on in AAA. And then again, pretty much first injury, he's your first guy up because of his versatility. So I would expect we'll see him more often than not in Chicago this season. But I don't think him starting in Iowa is the worst thing for him, especially because he came directly from AA to the show last season. So that's kind of my little hot
take. Let me just say, though, I hate it.
Fair.
I absolutely hate the fact that the conversations are this. And the only reason I hate it is because Tyler, Ron, we're sitting here, and we know for a fact that, like, ceiling Cubs this year is maybe they sneak in and win the wild card or make a division race out of this. Cubs aren't going to the World Series. So, to me, I don't know. I've always looked at this as I'd rather him have reps with big league pitching consistently than to have AAA reps. Because it's kind of funny how I don't know, I just could be like old school here, but doesn't it always seem that like AA seems to have better pitching than AAA? It's always like this mess of guys. My thing is play him every day at third and sink or swim at this point. You got to figure that position out. And realistically, we've talked about it on the show. There's just not a lot of free agency trade options for that position in the future. I know that there's, we've talked about like guys like Chapman and, maybe like, long shot reunion with Chris Bryant, maybe going down the line because it is going to be a long rebuild for the Rockies. But I don't know. Like, to me, I hate that they took out an engine and Wilson Contreras. And to me, I look around like that dugout. I'm like, who's the engine that they're replacing it with? And Christopher Morel plays that way. They need a guy who's going to play that way.